Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys doing fantastic. Listen, today we're talking about the one and only Zebec network. Now, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we have been slowly selling off because we have broke out of our range, right? In the last couple of days, I've been pretty much saying how we are closing in, right? We are closing in. We have tops over here at roughly 0.0059, right? We have more tops over here, and then even more at 0.0058. So, not a huge difference, but it was still showing in the chart pretty much, you know, that we are getting squished. We're getting squished from the top, and we're also getting squished from the downside, right? We have a floor over here, a higher floor, and then guess what? A higher floor. And pretty much, we said that, listen, we have to decide, right? We have to decide. Either A, number one, we're gonna squeeze and continue to the upside, right? Or two is going to be that we are actually gonna pull back, right? We did say pulling back is fairly likely just because, right? Just because, on a higher time frame, we might be looking for some type of correction, right? Even just a couple percent more to then ultimately pull back to then contest the highs, okay? Right? To then contest these highs over here. Boom, right? That is ultimately our next step. Look, if we went to the highs right now, we would sell off and would sell off even more. If we sell off now and then we contest to the all-time highs, then when we get to the all-time highs, we're going to sell off less anyways. Okay. Trading, all of this is just it's structure within structure within structure. I believe we are going to get a similar scenario, kind of to what we had back in July of the 17th, 18th of July, right? Where we're kind of in a zone we had to decide. We pull back, right? We're kind of ranging from 0.003 to 0.0037, right? Then we sell off for a couple of days, nothing too crazy. And we go back down to 0.0028, and then we spring up, right? I would not be surprised if that is the case. Now, it might be on a slightly bigger scale, only because there's a good chance that we are going to be retesting this big support over here, right? This is a very, very key support. But here's the deal, people. Once we do retest this support, and once we do bounce off of it, right, we most likely won't ever see this price action again, okay? Because the blueprint still remains the same. Okay, the blueprint ultimately is to come contest these highs and ultimately is to burst to the upside. Okay, that is just the reality. Okay, and we can see we did also discuss in one of the previous videos that we did technically break the trend line, right? If you took it like this, that it was showing a little bit, it was showing a little bit of a not red flag, but a pullback potential, right? We mentioned this when boom, right? Because the trend broke with the 4 hour, right? We were holding this very narrow trend line until we weren't, right? So we did have a few indications indicating that we could be pulling back. And like I said, I don't think we'll pull back a lot more, maybe max 10, 12%. Uh, you know, we have been trading really, really fundamentally, right? This is just a given. We have been trading really, really fundamentally. It's not like we just burst it up within a week, right? It's not like we just went up 50% in a day and then we went up another 25% the next day. This was slow, this was fundamental. So any type of pullback should be also slow. And ultimately, it is just so we get a correction on a bigger time frame, right? Like we have, like I said, once again, we have the support around 0.00442 area, right? So, I will be looking to potentially even be dollar cost averaging there. I personally did snipe an entry at the bottoms in the private community. I called it out. And yeah, I've been just riding the wave, but this is going to be an opportunity to potentially dollar cost average. Obviously everyone has a different plan, everyone has a different goal in mind, but it's not going to be a bad time because you will ultimately at the end of the day, more or less on average, be getting boom a 25 to 20, let's just say 25 to 30% discount, right, from where we've been. And we know Zebec, right? Zebec is going to absolutely fly this cycle. It is not only going to fly, but it's going to innovate and change the world, right? Getting paid by the second is something unheard of with crypto, just getting more and more adopted with DeFi, real world assets coming on the rise, anything that contributes to the real world, right? This thing has the potential to go to the damn moon. I would not even be surprised. And I'm being really honest right now. I would not even be surprised if we would be able to 100x this cycle. Okay. Obviously, it depends on a few things, but getting to the mid, like, or even low 40 billion market cap for the type of project this is, it's not impossible, right? It's not impossible. When we look at some of the other big dogs, right? Um, you know, like we're better than Litecoin. We're better than like most of these projects. We're better than Crow. We're better than XMR. We're better than all of these, like Ethereum Classic, AAVE, Pepe, BitGet token. We're better than easily, without causing too much debate, 75% of these tokens. Okay. And it's one of those things where it's just a matter of time before we catch up, ultimately. So it sounds crazy, but 100x is technically possible because I believe there will be a lot of cryptos hitting that 35 to 45 billion market cap zone. And something like Zebec could very well be one of them, right? It could very well be one of them. So just saying that right now, I'm just saying that right now. I'm not even trying to overhype or anything. You see me, I'm not like jumping up and down, but I'm just being serious, right? I'm being serious right now. This is a high probability play that if there was going to be 100x coin, um, yeah, Zebek could definitely be one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, we can see that we have gone up also a couple hundred holders in the last 2 to 3 days. Zebec continues to rise and it will continue to rise. We're at 80,000 holders. Before you know it, we're going to be at 100,000 holders. Crypto is going to start exploding. The world is going to start getting in on this. Something like Zebec is going to become more and more relevant. It's going to go up in partnerships. It's going to go up in just the spotlight and where it's at. And next thing you know, we're going to be getting thousands of holders a day. Money pumped in like you've never seen. Ladies and gentlemen, it is super, super exciting. You know, we're not too far away from these pumps. We're not too far away from these pumps. When we go to something like the total market cap, the total market cap is itching. It is itching to pretty much start pumping. Okay. Yes, it's going down right now. That's because we are kind of still in a range, but it is itching. Once this total market cap starts popping off, I mean, money's just gonna be coming in and in and in. We also have rate cuts in September. That impacts the markets heavily, right? America is pretty much the king in the head of impacting a lot of the markets, especially crypto. So rate cuts, what, in about a month's time, I'm gonna get pumped up. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys did enjoy though, I love you guys so much. I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.